Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us once again and welcome back. We are discussing today impact and application of corporate tax on the manufacturing companies in the UAE. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us once again and welcome back. We are discussing today impact and application of corporate tax on the manufacturing companies in the EU. Sorry. So as discussed, we are discussing today impact and applications of a corporate tax on the manufacturing companies today. Till now, in our previous lectures, we have already discussed 23 various topics, and in these topics almost we have covered the scope of the UAE corporate tax law, on which entities corporate tax law is applicable, which persons are subject to corporate tax, which persons are not subject to corporate tax, what are the exempt people, what are the out of the scope, what are the resident juridical persons, what are the natural persons. This is what we were already discussed in the scope of the UAE corporate tax law. We have discussed how to compute the taxable income, realized and unrealized gain and losses, deductible expenses, interest capping rules we have discussed in detail. We have discussed a summary of various cabinet decisions and ministerial decisions. We discuss small business relief. We all know this. If your taxable income, annual business income is up to 3 million dirham, you can apply and you can opt for the small business relief, and you will not be liable to subject to corporate tax up to the end of 2026. We discuss tax grouping, tax loss provisions, relief, free zones, free zone consultation paper we have discussed in detail as well. Participative interest and its taxation. In the last webinar, we have discussed the applications of corporate tax on the trading companies. Today, we are discussing, as I mentioned, the applications of corporate tax on the manufacturing and processing companies. For a short term that I'm using MNPC. MNPC stand for manufacturing and processing companies. Like any other businesses, corporate tax is applicable on the manufacturing companies as well. These manufacturing companies and the processing, the companies which are involved in the processing, they are subject to corporate tax as well. It depends, they are working as a natural person. It depends, they are working as a juridical person. If they are working as a natural person, we all know this, the natural person having a taxable income of up to 1 million dirham, annual taxable income of up to 1 million dirham, natural person are not liable to register. They are not liable to even pay corporate tax. And the natural persons having a taxable income of more than 1 million dirham, they have a different treatment. In the same way, for a juridical person, we have a different tax treatment. It all depends the juridical person. They are in the mainland, they are in the free zone. What is their taxable income? Can they avail the small business relief as well? All these things we are going to discuss in this webinar. First of all, what is manufacturing and processing? Manufacturing means changing the shape of the goods, buying some raw material, changing the shape of the goods. This manufacturing, this processing, we'll discuss the processing as well. Processing means changing the shape of the material or making some sort of treatment, changing the shape of the material or goods. This is called processing. So this MNPC, full-fledged MNPC, there is a possibility that the one company, they are getting the order, they are sourcing the material, applying factory overheads, applying labor, they are manufacturing the goods and sending it to the customer. There is one possibility So it can be a full-fledged manufacturer. I can say this is a full-fledged manufacturer. Full-fledged manufacturer, they are sourcing the material, buying, taking contract, sourcing material, applying overheads, labor, manufacturing or processing the goods. Then they are delivering these manufactured or processed goods to the customer. Second possibility is sourcing. Might be there is a party, that party is getting the contract from the market. After winning the contract from the market, might be there outsourcing to any third party for the manufacturing of the goods. This outsourcing can be of two types. First outsourcing can be contract manufacturing, and second outsourcing can be toll manufacturing. Contract outsourcing, usually whenever the party, they are winning the contract from the market, then they are outsourcing this manufacturing job to the manufacturer. In this category, manufacturer is buying the material, manufacturer is sourcing the material from the market, they are manufacturing the product and giving it to the contractor, and contractor at the end, they are giving it to the end user. This is called contract manufacturing. In this contract manufacturing, manufacturing is usually sourcing the material. In the toll manufacturing, the party which is winning the contract from the market, that party is supplying the material, is supplying the design to the manufacturer, and a manufacturer is just providing the manufacturing services. They are providing the manufacturing services. They are not sourcing the material from the market usually. So we can say for the manufacturing and processing can be categorized into three categories. It can be a full-fledged manufacturing. We are winning the contract. We are buying the material, sourcing the material, applying labor, overheads, manufacturing the products and giving this product to the end user. Second possibility is one party, that party is winning the contract, and after winning the contract, that party is outsourcing the manufacturing. Once this manufacturing is being outsourced, the manufacturer, now there are two different parties. Contract, the party that is winning the contract, that is the different, and the party that is doing the manufacturing services, that is different. But the party that is winning the contract, that contractor is sourcing the material and giving it to the manufacturer. Manufacturer is manufacturing the goods, giving it to the contractor, and contractor is supplying to the end user. And third possibility is contractor is sourcing the material, giving it to the manufacturer, and manufacturer is manufacturing, giving it back to the contractor, and contractor is supplying these manufactured goods to the customer. So this is the manufacturing. Here the party that is winning the contract, that is providing manufacturing services. Here different parties providing manufacturing services. Here different parties providing the manufacturing services. Whenever this manufacturing company, either A, either B, either C, might be this company, might be this company, or might be this company is providing any manufacturing services, they are charging to the customer. It contains two elements. One is the manufacturing cost, second is the margin or profit at the top of it. We need to keep in mind when we're discussing the impact of corporate tax on the manufacturing company, we need to look into these two things. What will be the treatment of manufacturing cost and what will be the treatment of the profit at the top of it, specifically whenever is the manufacturing company located within the free zone and the manufacturing company is a qualifying free zone person. Just keep in mind. As we discussed, manufacturing includes the creation, production, improvement, assembly of the products or raw material. Contract manufacturing, in the contract manufacturing, outsourcing the full-fledged manufacturing, including the sourcing of material, while in the toll manufacturing, material and designs are provided by the contractor to the manufacturer. The processing of goods means it has been given in the consultation paper. The processing of the goods, the law has defined the consultation paper. It has been defined. Processing of goods and material means preparation, treatment, transformation, or conversion of goods or material into any other form for further commercial or industrial use or sale. Means if any company is changing the shape of the material and goods, and this might be there for further industrial use, or might be for further sale, then it will be considered the processing of goods and materials. So we are using the word MNPC, manufacturing and processing companies, for our further discussion. We know this, what is manufacturing? We know this, what is the processing of the goods and material. Manufacturing, three different categories we have discussed. It can be a full-fledged, it can be a contract manufacturing, it can be a toll manufacturing. In the same way, processing of goods and services might be the same, different categories can be applied over there as well. Might be the person processing is being done by the same party, might be the toll manufacturer there, or might be the contract manufacturer there. So now we wanted to discuss the taxability impact applications of the corporate tax on the manufacturer or on the person who is processing the goods and services. The taxability, the application of corporate tax depends the manufacturer, MnPC, is a natural person or is a juridical person. We all know this. What is a natural person? Natural person is the company acting as someone is acting as a freelancer, civil company, sole establishment company. This is a natural person. We all know this. What is juridical company? Limited liability companies, public joint stock companies, limited liability partnerships, funds, foundations which have been structured as a legal entity. So the applications of corporate tax on MnPC, it depends. The MnPC is a natural person or the MnPC is a juridical person. If the MNC is a natural person, look into this diagram. If the MNPC is a natural person, I have classified the whole universe into the 4 different zones. This is a specific free zone. This is the rest of the all free zones of the UAE. This is the UAE mainland, and this area is rest of the whole world. It doesn't matter. This is UK, USA, Australia, America, India, Pakistan. It doesn't matter if you are in the rest of the whole world. So the manufacturing MNPC as a natural person, it doesn't matter. You are in the free zone or you are on the UAE mainland. Other free zone are on the UAE mainland. It doesn't matter wherever you are located. The taxability is same. See, as a natural person, if you are providing the manufacturing services and your income is up to 1 million dirham, then you are not liable to register. You are not liable to pay the corporate tax. But as a manufacturer, if you're acting as a natural person, you are providing the manufacturing or processing of goods and services, then more than 3 million dirham, still it doesn't matter. You are in the free zone or you are out of the free zone. If your income is more than from 1 million to 3 million dirham, in this situation, you can apply for a small business relief. And once you are applying for a small business relief, you will not be liable to corporate tax up to the end of December 2026. And if your revenue is more than 3 million dirham, again I'm asking, it doesn't matter you are in the free zone or you are out of the free zone, it doesn't matter. So if your revenue, if your business income is more than 3 million dirham and you are a resident taxable persons, in this situation, law says 0% corporate tax will be applicable for taxable income up to 375,000. Any income more than 375,000, it will be subject to tax at 9%. Now, the applications of corporate tax on the natural person, as we discussed, natural person up to 1 million, this up to 1 million not liable to corporate tax. 3 million can apply for small business relief. More than 3 million up to 375,000, 0% corporate tax will be applicable. More than 375,000, 9% corporate tax will be applicable. In the first category, MNPC, they are not liable to register, they are not liable to pay the corporate tax. In the second category, in both of these categories, they are liable to register, they are liable to submit the return. In the out of these 3 million, when they are submitting the return, they are asking, they will not be subject to corporate tax. Here, I have told you 0% up to 375,000, more than this 9%. Still in this last category, they will be required to map their accounting profit into the taxable profits, and the corporate tax will be applicable on the taxable profits. Now the applications of corporate tax on the juridical persons. These juridical persons, as I discussed, these are the limited liability companies, partnership, foundations, public joint stock companies, which are structured as a legal entity. So it matters whenever they are discussing now, we need to look at the no exception like up to 1 million. Up to 1 million exception is only available to the natural person. This is not available to the juridical person. Juridical persons, if they are earning even less than 1 million, still they are liable to register, still they are liable to submit the return. These juridical persons, there are two thresholds. Less than 1 million, more than 1 million. For the natural person, three threshold. Less than 1 million, 1 to 3 million, and more than 3 million. For juridical person, as I mentioned, 0 to 3 million and more than 3 million. The juridical person, if they have a turnover of less than 3 million, the same small business relief is applicable. The same small business relief is available to the juridical persons as well. So if the juridical persons, either they are on the mainland or they are in the free zone and their revenue is up to 3 million dirham, they can apply for small business relief. And if their revenue is more than 3 million dirham, juridical resident persons making income of more than 3 million dirham, then the law says it depends if they are located within the free zone or they are located out of the free zone. If they are located within the free zone, then the treatment is different. If they are located within the free zone and they are the qualifying free zone person, treatment is different. If they are making supply with other free zones persons, then the treatment, if the qualifying free zone person is making supply with other free zone person, the law says it will be 0%, qualifying income 0%. So the juridical persons which are registered within the free zone, companies which are registered with free zone, we need to look into either they are the qualifying free zone persons or non-qualifying free zone person. In manufacturing company which are registered within the free zone, and if they are the qualifying free zone manufacturing companies, and we know this, what is the condition for this? These are the 6 points. If the manufacturing company are fulfilling these 6 points, these will be considered qualifying free zones manufacturing and processing company. These 6 points are, they are maintain adequate substance in the UAE, they are driving qualifying income, complies with transfer pricing rules and regulations, has not elected to be subject to corporate tax, they made de minimis criteria, and they have the audited financials. If the manufacturing company, they are in the free zone, they are meeting this criteria, these 6 points they are meeting, then it will be assumed, it will be considered that these companies are qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company. Now their taxability is different. Law says if these qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing companies are making any transaction with the other free zone person, then it will be considered a qualifying income. It will be subject to tax at 0%. Except these activities are not excluded activities. These are the 7 excluded, 6 excluded activities. If they are providing these services to the natural persons, then it will be considered subject to tax. But if they are not providing these services, manufacturing services to the natural persons, for sure, the manufacturing companies within the free zone, they will not be acting as banking services. They will not be providing insurance services. They will not be providing finance and leasing, immovable property, intellectual property. Only important thing is if this manufacturing and processing company is providing the services to natural person within the free zone, then it will be subject to tax. Otherwise, if they are providing any services to other free zone persons within the free zone, then it will be assumed these will not be subject to corporate tax. It will be considered qualifying income. Just I wanted to give you an example. This is a MNPC. This MNPC is LLC company. If this LLC company is providing services to sole establishment, and we know this, the sole establishment is the national person. If this LLC is providing manufacturing and processing of goods and service, goods or material services to the sole establishment is the natural person, then it will be subject to tax. Otherwise, rest of the all activities, we know this, it will not be falling under the excluded activities. So if the qualifying free zone person which is registered within the free zone and eligible to be qualified as a qualifying free zone person, if they are providing services to other free zone person other than the service of natural person, all these services will be considered qualifying services. It will generate qualifying income which will be subject to tax at 0%. So means if the qualifying free zone person, qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company is providing services to other free zone person except a natural person, it will generate qualifying income which will be subject to tax at 0%. Now there is a possibility that this free zone company, qualifying free zone company, this company is providing services to any other party which is on the UAE mainland or to any other party which is out of the UAE. Means this qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company is providing the services to non-free zone person. If they are providing the services to the non-free zone person, we have already discussed in our webinar specifically on the free zone that when the qualifying free zone person is providing any services to the non-free zones person, we discuss all their income will be considered non-qualifying income except the income from 13 activities. These are 13 activities. So if the qualifying free zone person, qualifying manufacturing and processing company which is established within the free zone and fulfilling the all related condition, if they are providing any services out of these 13 services to the non-free zone person, then it will be considered qualifying income. Any income other than these 13 services, it will be considered non-qualifying income. So manufacturing of goods and processing of goods, manufacturing of goods and processing of goods, both are the qualifying activities. Means if the qualifying free zone persons, is providing any manufacturing or processing of goods and services, goods or material services to the non-free zone person, which can be on the mainland, which can be out of the UAE, then these services will be considered qualifying activity and it will generate qualifying income. I'm repeating, if the qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company is providing the manufacturing or processing services to the company which is on the UAE mainland or to the company which is out of the UAE, any income that this qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company is generating, this income will be considered qualifying income and it will be subject to tax. If there, now we have discussed that the qualifying free zone person might be the company which is registered within the free zone, that company is non-qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company. If this is a non-qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company, then the company will not be able to enjoy 0% corporate tax on the qualifying income because the company is not fulfilling the conditions to be classified as a qualified free zone manufacturing and a processing company. Once this is a non-qualified free zone manufacturing and processing company, then the company will not be able to generate any qualifying income. Now the company will go back to the threshold, less than 3 million, they can apply for a small business relief. If the revenue is more than 3 million, then they need to map their accounting profit into the taxable profit. Whatever the taxable profit up to 375,000, 0% corporate tax will be applicable, and more than this, 9% corporate tax will be applicable. In the same way, now the first category we have discussed, the qualifying free zone person, which is registered within the free zone. The second category we discussed, the qualifying free zone person, the company which is in the free zone but doesn't qualify for the qualifying free zone person. Third category is that the manufacturing and processing company. This company is on the UAE mainland. If the company is on the UAE mainland or out of the UAE but being controlled and managed from the UAE state, it will be considered resident taxable person. Resident taxable person, juridical resident taxable person. If the company is a juridical resident taxable person on the mainland or out of the UAE but being controlled and managed from the UAE, then the whole income of the manufacturing company will be subject to tax. Up to 375,000, 0% corporate tax will be applicable. Beyond that, 9% corporate tax will be applicable. This company can enjoy the small business relief as well. Now the question arises, what will be the income that will be subject to corporate tax? So first of all, we discussed definition. What is manufacturing? What is processing? Then we'll discuss application of corporate tax, scope of the corporate tax, application of the corporate tax on the manufacturing and processing company. We decided which company will be subject to tax, which companies will not be subject to tax. Now the third category, the companies which are subject to tax. What will be the income that will be subject to tax? So income for the mainland entity, as I discussed, there no 0% qualifying income. All their income will be subject to corporate tax. For the companies which are in the free zone, but not qualifying as a qualifying free zone person, the same treatment. There no qualifying income, all their income will be subject to tax up to 375,000, 0%, beyond that 9%. Now the qualifying free zone person, which is providing manufacturing and processing services, their income can be classified into two categories. This income can be manufacturing income, and non-manufacturing income means profit. It has been given in the corporate tax consultation paper. This is the exact wording that I've taken from the corporate tax consultation paper. Law says, whenever the qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company is issuing any invoice to other party, might be that party is in the mainland, might be that party within the free zone, might be that party is out of the free zone, might be that party is UAE mainland, might be that party is out of the UAE, but the manufacturing and processing company, the company that is providing manufacturing and processing services, that company is located within the free zone, and that company is considered as a qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company. In this situation, law says there are manufacturing services, it will generate qualifying income and it will be subject to tax at 0%. Other than manufacturing services, whatever the profit they are charging, their profit will be subject to tax. That profit will be subject to tax. But if they are providing manufacturing and processing services from the designated zone, and they are giving these services to the distributor, then again it will fall under the qualifying activity that will be subject to tax at 0%. Other than this, if the company is not within the designated zone, they are merely in the free zone, or they are providing the manufacturing and processing services to the non-distributor, then their margin will be subject to tax and manufacturing services will be zero rated. It will be considered qualifying income. I hope everyone is very clear regarding this. So just I have summarized this, 0% privilege is only available to a qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company. This is not available to the companies within the mainland, or this is not available to the companies which are within the free zone and not qualifying as a qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company. Second, natural person either on the mainland or in the free zone, it doesn't matter, their taxability is same. Then qualifying free zone manufacturing and processing company, there will be two types of income. One will be qualifying income, second will be non-qualifying income. Qualifying income will be subject to tax at 0% and non-qualifying income will be subject to tax at 9%. Keep in mind the margin at the manufacturing, if not these services are being provided to the distributor, that margin will be considered a non-qualifying income as well. For the mainland entity, 0% up to 375,000, and more than this 9% corporate tax will be applicable. One question I left for you last time as well, and this question I am leaving. If this is a PE of the non-resident person, this PE of the non-resident person can be established that one person is exclusively working for the non-resident person. It will be assumed PE of the non-resident persons. Of the one entity branch of the foreign juridical person, that branch will be considered PE as well. So my question was last time, the individual who is acting exclusively for the foreign juridical person, that individual will be considered a natural person, or that individual will be considered a juridical person. I am leaving these questions. Might we will discuss this question in our upcoming webinars. I have summarized this whole discussion for you in this chart. This is exactly almost the same thing whatever discussed now. I'll quickly go through this. So these are the MNPCs, manufacturing and processing companies, working as a natural person, working as a juridical person. Natural person is sole establishment, civil company, freelancer, up to 1 million, not liable to register, out of the scope, not liable to pay corporate tax. 3 million, they can apply for a small business relief. More than 3 million, they need to map their accounting profit into the taxable profit. Up to 375,000, 0% corporate tax will be applicable, and more than 375,000, 9% corporate tax will be applicable. If they are working as a juridical person, these juridical persons might be their annual business income is up to 3 million. If their annual business income is up to 3 million, they can apply for small business relief, and they will not be subject to corporate tax by the end of 2026 in case this small business relief application has been approved by the respective authority. If their income is more than 3 million, then it depends that there is the juridical persons is a resident juridical persons or non-resident person. If this is a resident person, there is a possibility they are in the free zone, they are out of the free zone. If they are free zone, there is a possibility they are qualifying free zone person, non-qualifying free zone person. If they are qualifying free zone person, they are dealing with other free zone person. These are not excluded activities, qualifying income. If they are qualifying free zone person dealing with the non-free zone persons, then manufacturing services will be qualifying activity 0%, non-manufacturing services will be subject to tax at 9%. If someone is acting as a non-qualifying free zone person, up to 375,000, 0% corporate tax, more than this 9% corporate tax will be applicable. This treatment, same with this treatment where someone is acting incorporated out of the free zone. If the non-resident juridical person, MNP, P of the non-resident juridical persons, we already discussed, the treatment will be same like a juridical person, but their worldwide income will not be subject to tax. Income attributable to the UAE, that will be subject to tax, but the principles are same like a juridical persons. This P of the non-resident person can be categorized, can be classified as a qualifying free zone person as well. Then the non-resident juridical MNP, manufacturing and processing company, might be there generating UAE source income. If they are generating UAE source income, then 0% withholding tax will be applicable on their income. But if they have a nexus in the UAE, their investment, if that means any manufacturing, any processing company which is out of the UAE, if that company has made investment within the real estate within the UAE, that company will be liable to register for corporate tax purposes within the UAE. They will be liable to submit the return. Their income will be subject to tax based upon the same principle, unless and until they have invested into the, again, sorry, this thing will not be applicable, whatever, because non-resident juridical MNPC cannot be considered a qualifying free zone person. The income will be straightforward subject to tax up to 375,000, 0%, beyond that 9%, unless they are opting for the small business relief. That option will be available for them as well. So thank you very much. As usual, we can support you in the impact assessment, implementation, advisory and compliance services. Me and my team is there, Faiza is there, and the rest of the managers are there as well. We are always ready to listen, ready to understand, ready to deliver. You can contact us at info@crestcooper.com, or you can give info@crestcooper.com. Okay, stop working. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you are most welcome. No open question anyway. If a free zone company, if a free zone does not have QI, if a free zone doesn't have QI, if a free zone doesn't have QI, I think your question is not so much clear. I would like to request you to elaborate in a better way so that I would be in a better position to address your question. Hasib, thank you very much, Hasib. You are most welcome. No problem at all. Anytime. Question is, if a free zone company does not have QI, qualifying income, then for the next 1 and 4 years, they cannot apply qualifying free zone person. No, basically, if you are qualifying free zone persons, and you are not fulfilling the conditions, once you are disqualifying, I believe you will not be able to consider as a qualifying free zone person for the current tax period and for the next 4 years. But if you are asking, you from since beginning you are not qualifying as a qualifying free zone person, then you will never ever be able to register. So the law is basically you can register yourself if you are fulfilling all those conditions. Once you are fulfilling the conditions, you can register yourself as a qualifying free zone person. Once you are registered as a qualifying free zone person, then in case you are not fulfilling the condition at any time during the year as a qualifying free zone person, then you will be considered a non-qualifying free zone person for the current tax period and for the next 4 tax period. In a free zone company where the owner is retired company, not actively trading, do they still need to register for corporate tax? If the company, it depends, the company is registered as a natural person or the company is registered as a juridical person. If the company is registered as a natural person, once the company is not trading, means they will have income less than 1 million dirham, so they are not liable to register, they are not liable to pay corporate tax. But if the company is registered within the free zone as a juridical persons, as an LLC, public joint stock company, as I mentioned, if the company is registered within the free zone as a juridical person, even the company is not trading, still they will be liable to apply for registration, they will be liable to submit the return as well. Okay, one more question is coming. They are asking, can you explain what is the juridical person and natural persons? Okay, natural persons, it has been given in the FAQs issued by the ministry. Then the natural person is a civil company, sole establishment, or someone in individual capacity acting as a freelancer. So this is a natural person. Other than this, LLC, public joint stock companies, fund structured as a legal entity, foundation structured as a legal entity, these all are the juridical persons. So all are the legal persons, like sole establishment can be a legal person, LLC can be a legal person, but sole establishment is a natural person, LLC is a juridical person. There's a thin line difference in between the legal persons and juridical persons. So all sole establishment, civil companies, individual acting as a freelancer, these are the natural person. And LLC, public joint stock company, funds, foundations, legally structured as a legal person, it will be considered as a juridical persons. Partnership company in free zone, FZD company, there is a one partnership. It depends how the partnership has been structured. Important. In the partnership law is saying if any of your partner has unlimited liability, if any of your partner has unlimited liability, then partnership will not be subject to tax. It will be considered a transparent, and partner income of the partnership, expenses of the partnership will be distributed among the partners, and it will be assumed that the partners are doing the business. Income will be subject to tax in the hands of the partners, and partner will be liable to register. And the vice versa, if none of the members of the partnership has unlimited liability, it will be assumed limited liability partnership. In this situation, partnership will not remain transparent. Partnership will be treated like a juridical company. Partnership will be liable to register for VAT purposes. Partnership will be liable to submit the return. A partnership will be liable to pay the tax on their taxable income based upon the qualifying free zone persons and non-qualifying free zone person rule, as we have discussed in detail. One more question is there. Two individuals are holding immovable property in their own name. Two individuals are holding immovable property in their own names. Okay. And properties are commercial and in the free zone. So commercial properties in the free zone. Question 1. How will they register? Question 2. What will be tax on income? Rent if amount is more than 3 million. Okay. If the commercial property, two people are holding the commercial property, I believe it will be fall under the partnership. Now we need to look into this. If any of the liability of the partner is unlimited, if liability of any of the partner is unlimited, then individual partners will be liable to register. It will be considered transparent. But if this property, which is immovable property, two individuals are holding this and they are not doing any business. In the first case, first of all, I just wanted to highlight, if two individuals are holding one commercial property, from there they are earning any rental income, that rental income is not subject to corporate tax. The only possibility they are doing the business. Then once they are doing the business, then it will be assumed they will be subject to corporate tax. But if they're holding any investment into the rental property, from the rent they are getting a rental, they are not doing any business, it will be out of the scope. It will not be subject to corporate tax because it will be considered rental personal income. But if these two are doing the business, they are holding one company, then they are holding another business, another building, multiple business, they are doing any activity on a regular basis. They are not the owner of the property, but they are, buying, selling, it will be considered a business. Then business, it will fall for partnership. Unless and until there is no partnership, the rental income will not be subject to tax. Once there is a partnership, they are doing the business on regular basis. Then we need to look into this. Their liability is limited or unlimited. If unlimited, partnership will be transparent. Partner will be liable for the corporate tax. If the liability of none of the partners is unlimited, they will be considered limited liability partnership. Then partnership will be liable to register. One more question, is there any exception to register for non-resident deriving UAE source income? No. If the non-resident person is deriving UAE source income, they will be subject to tax. Withholding tax will be applicable. This will be 0% withholding tax for the time being, which will go up with the passage of time because they are generating UAE sourced income. Normally, individual cannot own commercial properties in tourism, correct? Even they own the commercial property, Wakar, it doesn't matter. They are owning the commercial property. From there, they are getting that. This is their personal investment. From there, they are getting rent, which will not be subject to corporate tax. It all depends. They are doing the business or they are not doing the business. Natural persons, if they are not doing the business, they are not subject to corporate tax. Once the natural person is doing the business, they are subject to corporate tax as a natural person. Then again, if they're making any income up to 1 million dirhams, still they are not liable to corporate tax. And when the natural person doing the business, law says they are doing any activity on regular basis, then it will be assumed they are doing the business. Assuming properties are held in personal names and before commencement of the corporate tax. If the properties are in the personal name from where they are getting income, it will not be subject to corporate tax because they are not doing any business. Once they are not doing any business, they will not be subject to corporate tax. It will be assumed this is their personal income. Any other question, guys? Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You are always helping me to polish my knowledge. And this is a very good session. I'm always enjoying because whenever I'm getting the questions, this is quite helpful for me to polish my knowledge. At the end, we both are winning. I am studying again and again. I am winning, and you are learning something as well. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Staying with us. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.